Despite coming out over a year ago, the Canon G7X Mark II is still a fantastic go-to compact camera with a wealth of features under the hood. A flip-up screen, a 20 megapixel sensor, a 5-axis stabilizer, fantastic zoom range, wide aperture settings, and being able to charge while on the go, all wrapped up in a pocketable design, it's certainly well equipped to be your perfect travel companion. But the G7X Mark II isn't just a great stills camera, it has a fantastic aptitude for video. Combine that with its small footprint and excellent image stabilisation, and it's become a favourite for many vloggers out there. In fact, let's take a look at this from the camera's perspective. The rest of this review has been shot entirely from the Canon G7X Mark II.
Yes, adore you all of the time. I like to
Oh, hang on. So I was obviously hoping for better weather, but we've got what we've been given. It is a classically British, awful day, but I either do it now or I don't do it at all. So what I had to do, because the weather got so bad, was come out today instead, where it's slightly better. It's still pretty awful, but you can't complain. Anyway, let's get back to where we were. So this is the Canon G7X Mark II, and it's a perfect camera for beginner vloggers. It's got a really good auto mode on it, which I absolutely love, and if you're new to vlogging, it's really easy to set up and use, which is great. One of the best features is the flip-up screen, so you can see yourself in the shot all the time, and not only that, but it's super bright, so you can actually see everything you're doing regardless of where you've got it. So it's really good for slow motion as well. You get standard filming, which is what this is, but you also get 60 frames per second, which is kind of gives you that gooey kind of fluid look, what a lot of people go for. But what I prefer to use it for is slow motion. Now slow motion can be really useful on this camera. It's not built in as such. You shoot at 50 and then you half it in your editor. And once you've done that, you can get some really nice kind of slow motion effects. What I'll do is I'll put some over here now so you can have a look at kind of stuff it does. But I really like it and can really add to your vlog if you've got that little bit of slow motion, which this does particularly well. Now, one of the reasons this camera is so popular is because the stabilisation on it is really good. A lot of cameras that don't have stabilisers can be really shaky, but this one is actually fantastic. And even when I get off my skateboard to walk, you still get that nice kind of bump without it looking too fake and horrible to watch. Sometimes when you're watching vlogs and they don't have it stabilised, it can be really nasty to watch, and that's not something that's ever pleasant. But with the G7X Mark II, you do actually get a very good stabiliser. So this is a camera without a stabiliser, and as you can see, it's a lot more wobbly. But yeah, that's why it's so important if you do want to vlog, is to find a camera that's got some form of stabilisation on it. And the G7X II really does have a good one. If there's another area where it excels, it's in taking still photos. It's got quite a nice zoom range, and the aperture goes from f1.8 to 2.8, which basically means you'll still get that nice background blur when you're taking those photos. What I'll do is I'll lay over some here that I've taken with it, but basically, if you've got your phone on you, but you've also got this on you, compare the difference, you'll see the Canon takes much nicer photos. The app for transferring photos from your camera to your phone is actually really decent. I've got a Sony as my main camera, and the app on that's a bit rubbish, but the app on this is actually really good. You can use it and you can browse through all your photos and your videos and then transfer those straight to your phone. So if you want to edit something on your phone, you actually can, which is super useful. Battery life is good as well. I've managed to shoot this whole vlog and all the other little bits of it, and I'm down to about half power. Now the batteries on it are absolutely tiny, or about this big, so it'd definitely be worth picking up a couple if you're planning on going on something really long. But I think if you're shooting for about half a day, you'd generally be okay on this. Obviously that's going to change on how much you use it, but so far I've been pretty happy with it. So if you're talking about bad points, you can't change the microphone on it, you're stuck with the one that's built in, which isn't actually too bad for voice, but for anything else it's not fantastic. You could try and record audio elsewhere, like have a little microphone, record it through your phone, but it's not ideal. But I think for the one that's actually built in, it's really not too bad. In general, it's a nice camera to shoot on as well. The build is really nice, and if I've dropped it, which luckily I haven't yet, I feel like it could definitely take a beating, which is really good. Time-lapse wise as well, this camera does a really good job. The time-lapse function is really easy to use, and you can't go too wrong with it. It can take quite a while to actually get what you want, depending on the length of your time-lapse, but generally speaking, about 10 minutes leaving this camera going, you get some super nice results.
Night and day, if I may. I'd like to.
So the only thing that's not so good about the G7X Mark II is that it's not 4K. That might be okay for you because 4K is kind of a bit, pushes the price up a huge amount. You can pick up the G7X for around the £400 to £500 mark, which still might sound quite expensive, but there's some Sony cameras and some other ones out there that are pushing well over £1,000 if you're looking to go into that 4K kind of avenue. So that's wrapped up everything I want to say about the G7X Mark II. Hopefully it's given you a bit of a show of what it's like, and if you're thinking of buying it, then I think it's a great vlogging camera. Just bear in mind there's no 4K, and otherwise it's pretty solid. Solid autofocus, solid battery life, big bright screen, really good for stills, and a bit of slow motion in there as well, and time-lapsing. What else could you possibly want apart from 4K? Sorry, something I forgot to mention, the touchscreen interface is absolutely brilliant, and the autofocus tracking on your face is excellent. I haven't seen a camera system much better than that. The Canon, I think if it's dual pixel, if it's in there, it's really, really good. You can see a square around your face all the time. It does a banging job of that. Anyway, see you in the next one.